So this is a photo of the Lunar Orbiter Freeframe 84M, and it shows in the background there, it shows the shard, which is a massive anomaly, about 1.5 miles high from the lunar surface. And the little X above it is just a photo registration mark. So don't count anything for that. And just to the left of that, you can see what looks like a little smudge. A lot of people think it could be a distant galaxy, star system, something like that. But also, again, a lot of people believe it to be a glass tower, some sort of 7.5 miles to 9 miles high. Again, is same photo but different angle. And it shows the shard in the foreground there with the little registration mark above it. And then to the far left, you can see the smudge or the tower on that one. That's a close-up. You can see the photo mark there, and the tower to the far left. And it just intrigues me so much about if there is anything on the moon, any ancient civilization that once, did exist, one taken by the Russian probe. I think that's just absolutely fantastic. Whether or not that's some sort of glitch, or if that is actually, the glass tower that they talk about. That's a stereo image of the shard. You can see the shadow on it there. Massive close-up. And up in the top left there, that picture, that's apparently a hair from one of the researchers. So this is dubbed the castle on the moon. And this is apparently suspended. I think it's about 9 miles above the moon's surface. And if you look closely in the picture in the little red box there, you can see a line going all the way across. And that's supposedly to be some sort of cable hanging from a suspended structure holding this castle up. And then this last one here, on the left-hand side, it shows a doctored photo, and on the right-hand side, the photo which hasn't been played with shows some extreme, again, they believe it to be a glass structure of some sort, reflecting light off somewhere or emitting light from somewhere. So yeah, so what are your thoughts on that, guys?
I think one thing I'd be interested in comment upon now would be the need for an alien civilization capable of landing something on the moon across vast distances of space, allegedly, if we're to believe that it's from an alien civilization from a different part of the galaxy, need cables to suspend something above the surface of anywhere.
Yeah.
Regarding the castle would be my one. I don't understand why they would need to defeat gravity or lack of gravity, either way, with a cable when they've got the means for propulsion to make it across vast distances of space.
Distances,
yeah, that's one thing that stood out to me straight away, was why would they need a cable? I mean, what is it, some kind of like Swiss holiday resort? Ski lifts and stuff like that. They just...
Well, it could have been. That's possible.
It could have been, yeah.
Maybe it was an ancient ski lift.
It could have been. That's what it is, Steve. It's an ancient ski lift.
Ancient ski lift.
I was going to say, it's interesting. I tend to agree with Dave on that front with regard to it being suspended in the air. I don't see the need for that. However, I do think that there may be perhaps evidence of past civilizations that have perhaps put bases on the moon. That's definitely something that is much more possible. It's difficult, isn't it? There is a bit of interesting stuff that comes out when you look into the fact that NASA might be engineering the pictures from the surface of the moon, Mars, before issuing those pictures to the public. You've got people like Gary McKinnon, the hacker, that said that they were doing exactly that. He was corroborated by that Carol Rosen that used to work in the same building out of the Kennedy Space Center. that seem to say that that's what they're up to. So I do believe that there potentially is stuff that they're trying to hide from us in pictures.
Well, there's big chunks of this, especially from the Apollo 15 and the Apollo 14C series, our batch of photographs, the 8x10 glossy prints that was sort of snagged out of the facility by Ken Johnston, so maybe going to them, and the alleged Apollo 20, the joint American and Russian venture to photograph objects and get evidence of objects on the the far side of the moon. Certain alleged craft in craters and stuff like that.
So this photo allegedly shows astronauts. I can't freaking remember his name now. Ed Mitchell, because it says it on the picture there. My eyesight's terrible. I blame it on the lighting.
I blame it on something else.
Oh dear, no. So in the background, not before live stream anyway. I don't drink, so So in the background there, you can see the white noise, if you like, and that's supposed to be reflections of ancient remains. But again, these pictures that I've put out, the person that's worked on them believes it all to be glass. So for it all to be glass structures. I'll just let this play on for a second. Excuse me. And that one shows what is supposed to be. Excuse me. It's the same photo. What's supposed to show a crack in the dome that's surrounding what it's the Triesnecker and Hyginus relay craters. So yeah, extremely interesting. And that photo there, again, I think it's Mitchell in that photo. But yeah, that's supposed to show, again, a huge glass structure behind the astronauts.
If you want to build an environment inside build an atmosphere inside a dome for a species living on the surface. Biodome. There's the word I'm looking for. Would you need to suspend something several miles in the air above a planet? Do we do that now?
That's it. No, not really.
We build skyscrapers, kilometre up, but do we suspend stuff in the air? It's a lot of unnecessary effort.
The only thing that is like that, I would say, would be the huge like satellite dishes that we had, the one that broke recently, can't think of its name. But inverted. Inverted though, so maybe something like that, I'm not sure. It's and just quickly, these photos here obviously show the shard and another anomaly on the insert on the far right.
Dr. Petro apparently is like the deputy project scientist for the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Camera mission, or the LROC mission, saying that it's not a spire. It's what's going on is it's a small crater that's formed on the rim after the large crater. Is it Messinius E? It's labelled as Messinius E, and the sun is so low on the horizon that the dimple in the crater wall casts a shadow on the eastern wall of the crater. And there was a dark cascade of material falling down into the larger crater, likely caused by material falling onto the crater floor. So no spire, and it's just an optical illusion. Like we're seeing, what we're actually seeing is an optical illusion there. So it's a small crater next to a larger crater, and the walls casting the shadow, which makes it look like the shaft of the spire. Now, one thing that this doesn't explain, Dr. Petro, if you're watching, Dr. Petro, is the other photographs taken from an oblique angle or from a perpendicular angle where you can see it as form and that there's a vertical structure there. Going off some of the photographs, the photographs that you were showing just earlier have a vertical vertical structure. But
yeah,
and as you look at this, one, you can see the shadow that's being cast. Now, I dare say that they would say this is a result of material falling in after yet another meteorite impact. But you can see the shadow, and I do like the fact that NASA have gone out of the way to paint a nice little red arrow on the moon for us. Why the people who do these research think they have the need to point them out with glaring red arrows, I don't know, but there it is. You can even see the shadow of that. So.
Fantastic.
What is it magicians do? Point your attention one way to distract you whilst doing something else.
Absolutely, yeah.
Very much so. Indeed.
Interesting. Maybe. Who knows?
So what are your thoughts then, Damien, on it? Do you think possibly an ancient human civilization could have gone there?
Well, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, I suppose, an ancient human civilization. I mean, we know from the isotopes analysed from the Martian atmosphere that there was perhaps a nuclear explosion millions of years ago on the Martian surface. So are we in fact Martians that migrated from Mars to Earth? And if so, we probably had the capability to stop off on the moon at some point if we were doing that migration and had the capability to travel between the planets. So yeah, possibly human, possibly other alien humanoid beings, potentially. It could be either. It's very difficult to say, isn't it? Who?
It is.
Apart from the fact there does appear to be a significantly tall structure affecting the view of the spherical nature of the moon.
Indeed. Yeah. It's
I think sorry, brother. I was going to say if sort of like see it as an ancient civilization from mankind, and it's a stop-off point between two destinations, which I'm inclined to agree with Damo could well be the case. You'd expect there to be a subway there and like a little chef or something like that. You know what I mean? A little bit like a garage on the way down the M62 or something like that. But yeah, absolutely. There's, I think, we don't know a lot about the moon structure beyond what we're led to believe has come back from the Apollo landings. And we know the composite of moon rock, and we understand that it gets bombarded by meteorites, and that the deeper meteorites are actually, newer than the shallow meteorites because of layers of dust building up. Yeah. Is it likely that a big, freak rock formation or moon rock formation, many, many kilometers tall, has managed to survive millions of years of bombardment? I find that difficult to believe. That to me, that is a massive stretch, and there's clearly something physical there. Now, is it a McDonald's? Is it a Subway for like the Atlanteans of the past? I don't know, but it's definitely suspect. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I've spent many hours on Google Moon and Google Earth looking at Mars and the Moon. And finding pyramid-shaped mountains or pyramids, if you like, both on the Moon and Mars, and just such weird formations that you forget that you think no, that possibly couldn't be natural, but then you have to think back to like the Giant's Causeway in Ireland, like the hexagonal, I can't even say the word, stones there, hexagonal, that's it, and think that nature made them, possibly. But that's the theory on that, isn't it? And there's so many right angles and straight lines and what look like old columns, like stone columns that have been carved and things like that on the Moon and Mars as well. And it's just too much to make me believe that there hasn't been something on the Moon prior to us.
Okay, well, I suppose in many ways you'd sort of see the modern sort of like hypothesis that a lot of the image. Well, a lot of images have come out because of Ken Johnston approaching Richard Ogland and with these prints that I got. Now, Ken Johnston, I've done a brief summary of something about the guy, which is cool. He was a civilian pilot who trained astronauts for the Apollo 11 mission. And he ended up working at the Lunar Receiving Laboratory, and he dealt with processing and analysing photos and samples from the moon. He was also the director of Data and Photo Control Department, and he had access to all the photographic data sent back to Earth from the moon, which included photos, films, and slides. When the Apollo program began to wind down and samples were being sorted, his superior, who called Bud Laskawa, or Laskawa pronunciation, but Bud Laskawa, told him to destroy the photo archives. And special attention and emphasis was put on some 10x8 glossy prints. That never saw the light of day because they contained strange anomalies that NASA did not want the public to see. And NASA wanted to keep quiet about it. So Johnston claimed that the photos would often be altered to cover anything weird, with extensive manipulation and doctoring done on them to hide what he said were evidence of non-human structures on the lunar surface. And in an interview, he said, "Once we were done with the first 3 missions, I was put in charge of photographing and documenting their exact location, these being the anomalous structures. One day, my boss ordered me to destroy these images, and I reminded him that the government had paid for them and that they should be made public, to which he replied, 'No, get rid of it. I don't care what you think.' And it was because there was elements in the pictures that were unexplainable. And he said, you can see lunar anomalies, and it looks like something has been smudged out on a lot of the pictures. And this is way before Photoshop, obviously. And it looks sometimes like they would paint something out. In fact, he walked into a photo lab and he said he saw a woman painting something out on some of the images that had come back from the Apollo missions, and she called herself a stripper." A stripper, and said that that's what she was paid for doing. And now he was really upset with this, and this is what changed his mindset about coming forward with it, which was many years later, 1995, I believe. Like I said, that sort of like set off the modern era of structures on the moon and stuff like that. And we sort of said that's what made him become a whistleblower. So Ken Johnston, pretty big in the lunar anomalies field, and of course, like obviously, this fed guys like Richard Ogland, who again sort of propagated it too. God, that was very boring, wasn't it?
No, not at all. Not at all. That was quite interesting.
Oh, I find it interesting, but I find a lot of things interesting. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be here, would we?